Another shared news from home. We are live today to talk all things Bachelor Nation. As always, I'm your host Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Hiba Berry and Gabby Ganta. Hello, everyone. How are you guys? I am so excited to catch up and talk all things Bachelor Nation. How was your weekend, Hiba? What's going on?
What's going on? A lot's going on right now with Bachelor Nation, of course. But yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Weekend was relaxing as always. I feel like during the week it's so busy and so hectic, so it's nice to take some time and relax on the weekend. What about you, Gabby? How are you?
Yeah, me too. Thanks, girls. It's the Bachelor off season, so we get a little bit of a break, but we're still going to be talking about it on videos like this. So let's get into it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It is off season, Gabby. You'd think there wouldn't be as much news, but it's Bachelor Nation. We're never at rest. So you're right. Let's just get into it. Obviously, we are all so excited and looking forward to Katie's season of The Bachelorette. ABC released the names of her potential contestants, and of course, Bachelor Nation did what it did, got to work investigating everyone. We actually went live a few days ago breaking down all the new guys, reacting, putting in some predictions. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you do. But interestingly enough, as the digging has continued, we've come to learn that quite a few of Katie's contestants already have ties to the franchise. 27-year-old Greg from Edison, New Jersey, and 33-year-old Carl from Miami, Florida were previously cast to compete on Clare's season of The Bachelorette. They were part of the group that was cut when they had to initially postpone the season due to the pandemic. So you guys, when I talked about this with Mariah, I can't remember which one of them it was, but we already had clues that at least one of them had already previously been cast. And I asked her, and I have to ask you, does this smell right? I mean, shouldn't they have been invested in Clare specifically? Now they're just bouncing to the next Bachelorette. They could be wonderful guys, obviously just looking for another chance at love. But I gotta ask, what's our take? Are they there for the right reasons? What do you think, Hiba?
I'm thinking they are there for the right reasons, and it seems as if the contestants on Claire's season didn't even have a fair chance competing against Dale because it was all about Dale and Claire at the time. So I feel like none of the other contestants really ever got a proper chance. So I think it's kind of an easier way to maybe just like recycle them all and then maybe not have to reteach them the the COVID protocols, and maybe it's just like an easier way for them to kind of actually shoot their shot with Katie this time, since Claire again was so focused on Dale. So maybe it'll be nice to actually see some screen time with all of them equally and actually get to know them. So I feel like they kind of have a second chance at love again, which is always nice, and I'm always rooting for that, of course.
I would have to say that I would be more concerned about this, Fiona, if we didn't see Tayshia come in and sort of take over part of Claire's season, because that's a prime example of these guys that were originally there for Claire, but were easily able to flip the switch and start pursuing Tayshia once she came in. So I don't think these guys are going to have a problem either. Plus, I'm sure behind the scenes, if a couple of them were offered this opportunity to date Katie and be on this next season, and maybe they weren't attracted to her, maybe they weren't feeling it, this year or this time around, I'm sure they aren't moving forward with those men who decided not to. So I think the guys that we are going to see on Katie's season that were supposed to be for Claire's season, I think they're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, the one thing is, if you agreed, for whatever reasons, obviously they didn't make the cut. I'm assuming it was probably scheduling life. I mean, Claire's season was pushed, right? But they were committed to finding love through this process at some point, right? So you figure they get it, they understand. I'm really hoping that they end up being two totally stand up guys. But it doesn't just stop there, interestingly enough. We have a few more overlaps here. Let's see. The next one is 26-year-old Brendan from Toronto. He's actually friends with Blake from Claire's season. So if you remember Blake, I guess they're buddies. We don't know exactly how close they are, but there's a connection there. Then we have Joshua, who is friends with Ed from Clare's season. So if you're starting to see a trend, it looks like, maybe they went to some of the guys and said, hey, anyone you recommend? And then this last one is interesting. We have Andrew S. He is Clay Harbor's cousin. And Clay appeared on season 14 of The Bachelorette and then went on to go to season 6 of Bachelor in Paradise. So this is just kind of interesting to me because, we saw them just cast Matt James, a friend of Tyler Cameron's. It feels like at this point there is such a large network of people in Bachelor Nation that it's kind of becoming a game of who you know, right? Someone might be able to pick up a phone to a producer and get you to the top of the line. It's definitely interesting. What do you make of this, Gabby?
It definitely seems like they're trying to keep it in the family. I did start following Ed on Instagram and I saw he did this whole post about his friend Joshua leaving to go, start his journey with Katie. So I definitely picked up on that. I thought it was very interesting. I'm, assuming that these former contestants obviously had a good experience, even though a number of these people that we just listed, they didn't come out finding love. They're not engaged, to their soulmate. But it seems like they had a good experience on the show, enough to where they're able to recommend their friends, their cousins, or whatever to go on the experience as well. So I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out for these people who have ties to Bachelor Nation, like you were saying.
Oh, that's a good point, but I think it could be a little problematic because it doesn't seem very inclusive because it's kind of like you mentioned, Fiona, like who you know, kind of using your network to get on the show. So I feel like it doesn't really seem genuine because you kind of already had your first chance at it and that in your initial season, but maybe a second chance, you don't really deserve it. Maybe someone brand new should come in that's actually genuinely looking for love. And unfortunately, you kind of had your chance and if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. So I think it's maybe better to kind of start getting new people in. But I do understand that it is a little bit more convenient. You just shoot over an email to like the casting person or whatever. It's pretty easy to kind of get your name through the door, your foot through the door. So I think it could become a little problematic later on. Maybe we continue to see this trend of people just wanting to get famous off of this show. Maybe they knew of a person that was on the show, but now they're interested and they kind of want to get their name out there. So I feel like this might lead to maybe not so genuine connections or genuine people with the right intentions of wanting to find love on the show. But I mean, that's just me. I don't mean to be negative, but I can definitely see it becoming a little bit problematic.
Well, as you say that, the franchise is literally, they have no room for problematic behavior right now, right? So they better not create, their next big issue here. I hope they're watching. They can heed your advice, Hiba. Obviously, all of these guys are cast for Katie's season. And, she's got 34 contestants, right? So it's not just this small group. But I just think it's interesting. Katie is 30. And she's made it clear that she is truly ready to be in love. She had many, many Bachelorette auditions, throughout that season on the Women Tell All stage. We have heard the spiel. We know Katie is looking for the real thing. And of course, she's no nonsense, right? I mean, that I feel like is what comes to mind anytime I try to describe Katie. Her bio for Matt's season, this was like how she, described what she was looking for headed into, trying to pursue a relationship with Matt. She said her dream man is passionate about building a long-term life with her and will treat Katie as his equal in the relationship. Katie is looking for a mature man who has ambitions to succeed in everything he does, both personally and professionally. So, the age range for Katie's potential guys, all 34 of them, is 25 years young to 36 years old. So no 22-year-olds, right? But 25 to 30, there is a 5-year age gap there. And men, just putting this out there, tend to mature at a slower rate than women. So knowing that Katie wants a mature man, this show is, receiving a little bit of criticism, as I feel like they always do lately, for not casting more age-appropriate people, not casting more guys in the 30 and up range. So what do you guys think? Do you think Katie could end up with a 25-year-old? Do you think she'll be looking for someone a little older, more established? This isn't to say that someone at 25 couldn't be super mature, right? I mean, it is an interesting range. It varies person to person. What do you think, Hiba?
Oh boy, where to start? A lot of points made there, Fiona. So let's kind of dissect it. People can definitely be mature in their early 20s, but I feel like those are rare cases. I mean, it's not like kind of a one shoe fits all kind of situation. And I was surprised that a lot of them were in their mid 20s to a little early 20s, whereas Katie is 30. So I do think she will be a little bit more successful. I'm just going to say this as a prediction with the guys that are at least in their 30s, not to, shade any of the ones that are in their 20s, but it just seems like there's a different mentality. It's a little bit more of a reality for them because guys in their 20s, god knows what they're up to, off like social media and in their private lives. But I don't know. I feel like for her, she knows what she wants. And I don't know if I can see a 25 really knowing what they want. So to me, that just seems a little bit unsettling. And I'm not convinced that she will end up with the ones in their 20s. Maybe I'll cap it off at 28, if even that. I don't think 2 years is too crazy of a difference. But 25, I mean, we even saw it in Matt James's season. I mean, there were girls that were 23 and ready to get a ring on their finger. I mean, I'm 23. I don't even know what I want. I'm still living at my parents' house, y'all. So, I mean, it's really a case by case situation. And of course, all these people are so different. But I think it's very rare to find those people that are ready to go in their 20s, especially early 20s. So we'll definitely see. But I think I'm going to stick with her, maybe choosing someone definitely in their 30s. What about you, Gabby?
I'm with you, Hiba. I'm 25 and still thinking about 5 more years of growth, like until I'm 30. That's so much. So I'm personally surprised that Katie didn't request that all of the contestants be at least 30 and up. I feel like that is something that she would do because just basically the fact that men mature slower or at different rates than women, like chemically, like physically. So I feel like she's gonna need someone at least 30, to be on her level, if not older. So I am interested to see which guys are mature. Maybe there are some young ones that end up mature, but then on the flip side, of course, this is still a reality drama filled romantic TV show, right? So I'm sure they threw in some of the 25-year-olds in there to stir some drama, just like we saw with Noah and Bennett and their age gap, or even with Kit in Matt's season. She was 21 and made it decently far and then ended up sending herself home saying, I'm not ready for an engagement. And everyone is like, we're not surprised. So
Right.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen again, but it's definitely interesting to see these age groups. And I'm with you, Hiba, in that I think she's going to mesh best with some of the more mature guys.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you both. And that's a great point. I mean, we're going to have guys again. So guy drama obviously is just inherently a little different than girl drama, and there was definitely a huge divide there from Noah and Bennett that started off I think pretty entertaining, got a little frustrating by the end, right? But overall, it was fun. It added to the characters of the show. So, will be interesting to see, how mature this group is. I hope they did a good job of casting some great guys for Katie because they really set the bar high, I think, with the group of men they brought in for Clare and then, of course, Tayshia. So, very, very high hopes for this upcoming season. You guys, if you are just joining us live or this is your first time checking out the channel, make sure you subscribe, by the way, because we are going to be covering all things Bachelor, all things Bachelorette, keeping everyone, up to date as we head into Katie's season. So subscribe and ring the bell so you are notified for our next live. On that note, moving on, we do have an update on Clare and Dale. You guys, I don't even know how to segue into this, honestly, because Clare and Dale are just keeping me on my toes. Clare just celebrated her 40th birthday with a trip to Napa. Good for her. Some wine tastings, looked super fun, posted a beautiful Instagram. But fans were able to quickly figure out that Dale was there with her. They didn't post together, but they once again made it very obvious that they were in the same place via their Instagram stories. Clare wrote on her page, "Beyond thankful to every one of you that sent birthday messages. My heart is full. It truly has meant so much as I read all the messages of love. Cheers to being blessed with another year." And the real kicker here is that she was, drinking some champagne in bed. This was posted on Sunday. And then Dale posted, "Napa is special. I've fallen in love with Napa." And he said this in a video on his Instagram stories later that night as he clearly was making eye contact and clinking glasses with somebody off camera, presumably Clare. I mean, they couldn't have made it more obvious here. A source did tell Us Weekly on March 17th that they are certainly back together, but have not decided whether they'll recommit with an engagement. This source, claiming to be an insider, said, quote, "Clare and Dale are dating again. They're working on things in their relationship. Nothing has been made official with regards to an engagement. They're enjoying their time together and taking things as they come." What a roller coaster. I don't even know what I make of this, where I stand, what I want. I mean, these two have truly taken us for a ride. Gabby, what do you make of this?
They are playing games with us, okay? The fact that they're not posting together, but they're posting separately the same things. This is like stuff I would do in like early college when I wanted, the guy to see I was hanging out with a different guy, or like my girlfriends and all of that. So I think they're certainly playing games with us, and it might be so that we have conversations like this, as in, what are they up to now? Like, they end up in Us Weekly because we're wondering what's their relationship status, right? So I think they've been really good at playing the PR game. So I'm not sure. I am glad they're happy. I'm glad she celebrated her birthday with champagne and felt the love and is much more positive and happy and excited on social media. And I also think that they're not trying to rush an engagement, right? Because Clare got hurt in the past by Dale. And so I feel like she's slowly letting him back into her life. But I think they can take their time because the Bachelor process rushed them so much that I think they're finally realizing that's probably not healthy in a relationship. So they're slowing things down. Maybe an engagement is, down the line. But for now, I'm just glad they're happy. What about you, Hiba?
Oh, 100%. The Bachelor process is so rushed. I mean, time is of the essence. Time is so crucial. So I think they broke up by ending their engagement, but I don't think they ended their relationship. I think it just needed to kind of come to a halt so they could reevaluate what they wanted, how much they wanted to invest their time into each other, especially since they're bi-coastal. And I mean, come on, like it's all about the subtlety, right? On social media. I mean, they could have blatantly just
Mm-hmm.
like tagged each other at that
Exactly.
point. So I
Uh-huh.
think it's really interesting that, they are still trying to be secretive, but it's so blatantly obvious that they are together. So I think they're just really trying to, troll us and again just keep the publicity, kind of keep it going. Again, like we're talking about it right now. So of course we fell in their little trap. But yes, I definitely think this is all about, them just trying to, I feel like, be try to be ahead of us but I think we're like, right behind their tail and we're following them with this story, but it's pretty obvious that they're gonna definitely end up back together. Okay. But as far as Claire and Dale, do you think that they're kind of in a healthy relationship? Because I feel like, since they did break up, there had to be a big reason. I mean, Claire unfollowed him and it seemed like that again, we talked about this. It seemed like a really big move, to finally end your relationship, especially on social media. So, what do you think maybe caused them to get back together? We saw those pictures of them in Florida and now they're posting about each other or what we think, of course it's pretty obvious that it is them too. So what do you think made them want to get back together and try it again, like a second shot?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is because being a contestant on The Bachelor and trying to find love on that show pretty much doesn't give you a great foundation. So it kind of throws you into the fire and says, go for it. Like, see if you find someone that you like. And it's just like we were saying, super rushed. So I think they really do have love for each other in that short time that they spent on the show and then dating afterward. But I think they really needed to take a step back and work on the foundation because all relationships really need a solid foundation to keep going. So I think they were really in the honeymoon phase for those first few months and then realized living by coastal was tough, where they had different goals for down the line. So I think, like I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, they're just going to take a step back, really reevaluate everything, and I don't know if it's still going to work out long term because maybe they do have different goals, or maybe in terms of children and marriage and stuff like that. Or maybe Dale is going to realize, I do want kids right now. Like, that would be so much fun. So, if they can sort of come to a compromise or get on the same page pretty quickly, then that might work out. But what do you think about a future long term relationship with them, right? We've talked about this, but they
Right.
still seem happy and are doing well. So, what do you think?
Ooh, I feel like that's a really good question because I mean they can be back together, but it's about longevity. How long will this last? I hope they're just not putting a band-aid over that initial issue that they broke up over.
Right.
So I hope that they're trying to do actual work. I don't know if they, again, like we're not in the relationship, we have no idea what's going on, but maybe some sort of therapy might help, couples therapy. I mean, who knows? I know that would never hurt. That can only help, I would imagine. And of course, this is just like me based off of assumptions, because again, we're not in the relationship, so this is just hypothetical. I feel like I always have to disclaim that. But I do think it won't work out long term. I mean, I don't see a relationship as solid as theirs in comparison to Tayshia and Zach. And I hate to compare relationships because everyone has their own different path and journey. But the way that I see Tayshia and Zach, I mean, they're just so connected and so bonded. Whereas Claire and Dale, it was just that factor that they rushed. So I think that's a, I don't want to say a red flag, but just something that is like a bigger hurdle for them to overcome because I don't know if they were on the same page as far as it being so rushed. So I don't know. We'll just have to see based on how long this will last and if we expect to break up in the future.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh my goodness. As always, I agree with both of you. This is going to be one of those couples that we just have to keep an eye on because, like I said, they are keeping us on our toes. Next up, we do have an update from one of our faves from Matt's season, Miss Bree. She stopped by the Here for the Right Reasons podcast and was asked if she'd ever consider returning to the franchise, which I think a lot of us hoped that she would, potentially on Paradise or something. Which, by the way, a little Paradise sort of update for you guys. There are still some rumors floating around that a season could happen in between the Bachelorette seasons. Some people are holding out hope. There's no official word, no official update, but that is interesting because I had kind of written it off personally, and I guess we're not quite there, so we will keep you updated if anything official does come out. Whenever Paradise returns, whether we get one in between Katie and Michelle's season or afterwards, Bree is not so sure that she is willing to go there. She said, quote, "I think I need to see some tangible change from the show in order for me to put myself back in that situation. That doesn't mean I've given up on dating, but I mean, maybe I've given up on dating on a reality TV show," which, listen, I get it. Bree's journey, you guys. I mean, she was probably one of the girls who I felt for the most, especially towards the end. I would love to see her find love. I feel like selfish saying that, but I would love for her to come to Paradise and, let us see her find somebody else. It's not a closed door, but she's not sure. What do you think? I would love to see her. I think she'd kill it in Paradise. Don't you think, Hiba?
I think she would too. I always imagine Paradise, and I've said this in the past before, as a little bit more, I guess, raunchier, for lack of a better word. It just seems like there's a lot more people just like intermingling against something in that ocean air, whatever island they're on. It just kind of, messes with their emotions or whatnot and their hormones. But I personally, I don't think I could see Brie going on that show because I feel like she's so kind of, I just rather watch her with a one-on-one storyline like we saw her with Matt. And I think that was just a little bit more of like a genuine connection and had a little bit more substance because I feel like I just imagine Bachelor in Paradise, like people just go on for hookups and more, publicity for them to have a bigger platform or whatnot, or to be an influencer, who knows what. That's just me. So I think that she might just stick with, staying off of the public eye or being on any more TV shows and maybe trying to disassociate herself with Bachelor Nation now, because I mean, she really, like, yeah, I did feel for her as well. I mean, she got the short end of the stick, unfortunately, on Matt's season. I mean, of course, I felt bad for Michelle as well, but she's the new Bachelorette now, one of two. So I don't feel as bad as when Michelle was eliminated. So, because she gets to, of course, get her redemption story. So that's always nice. But yeah, Brie definitely got that short end of the stick. But I think, you know what, she's still doing well. She recovered well. Didn't seem like she's too affected by it now. I mean, she's going on podcasts and is talking about it openly. So it seems like she's kind of gotten over that breakup hump. So I'm happy for her. I just don't want her to go through pain again. So I don't think Bachelor in Paradise would be a good idea for her. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I would also love to see her on Paradise, but I definitely understand why she wouldn't want to go on the show. You know, with her saying she wants tangible change in the franchise, that's something we're all hoping to see soon. And it's tough because this season with Matt James, the franchise, and everyone inside and everything that was entangled with it, they're going through so much. And now they're in this weird transition period when they're trying to make things better, patch up some holes, just overall lay a better foundation for future seasons. So I think to jump right in back to filming another show might be difficult for someone like Brie and anyone who were just weighed down by Matt's season overall. So, you know, I don't blame her for that. I think even with Katie and Michelle, who were in Matt's season and now are jumping right into filming, they're very brave for doing that because it seems like it's a little bit messy right now in Bachelor Nation, but they were obviously given an amazing opportunity. So, you know, at the same time, they probably just went and took that and said, I want to try this out. So, hoping for the best for those seasons. I think if we're going to see Brie on another season like this, it might not be for a while. And I think probably the same for a few of other contestants from that season. But yeah, I love her and I hope she finds love down the line, even if it's not on TV.
Oh, absolutely. And I have no doubt that she will. For her, hesitations, she's not totally sure if she's willing to dip her toes back in the reality TV water. She doesn't have any regrets, which is always good. I love to hear from people who, maybe got their hearts broken, that they still, at the end of the day, don't regret the process, because my goodness, it certainly takes a lot out of you. She said, I don't regret allowing myself to open up to Matt and really falling for him. And of course, you guys, something I know I've thought about a few times since the season wrapped, Brie at, a certain point in the episodes, I don't remember which week, made the decision to stay with the show and give up her job, which I think, a lot of us really felt for her in that moment. She said, as for my career was important to me and continues to be very important to me. So she didn't give us an exactly clear update, like was she able to get that same job back, what's going on. But I take from that she's all right, she's doing fine, whatever she is doing, she's enjoying. So that's good. She says she's hoping to take away lessons from the show and move forward and bring them to her next relationship. Now, something we talked about, Michelle, Katie, they got seasons of The Bachelorette. Brie did not. We've talked about this before. We think Brie could be a great Bachelorette. And we have seen, listen, Clare hadn't been, part of the franchise for quite some time before they brought her back. So let's just say down the line, we see all this tangible change they are promising. It is a whole new world. Everyone is proud of the progress made, including Brie, and they call her. She would be a great Bachelorette. Would we still want to see that, even if it's a few seasons down the line? What do you think, Gabby?
Absolutely. I think that would be ideal. That reminds me of Tayshia, who was on Colton season and then was there for a few weeks during Paradise and, found a boyfriend for a little while, but then that didn't work out. So then we saw her as the Bachelorette. And now she's even hosting the next Bachelorette. So when you love someone in the franchise like Tayshia, who's just so fun, so lovable, she's going to stick around. And I feel like the producers are going to call her back in the future. So I think exact same situation with Brie. I'd love to see her again down the line. And who knows, if she does end up on Paradise, maybe that would work out as well. I think one of my favorite Bachelor couples ever is Hannah G and Dylan Barber. They got engaged on Paradise, so I know it's like a little bit less of a structured season, as you were saying earlier, Heba, but I think they're adorable, so it does work out sometimes. So hopefully we'll see Brie there, or maybe just back in the franchise down the line.
Yeah, of course. I'm always up for anyone having a shot of finding love, and I would love to see Brie in a situation where we follow her storyline only, because I feel like on the show for Matt James's season, she works in PR. She mentioned that she works in PR, and every single answer she gave was so well. She's so well spoken, and it was so well thought out,
Mhm.
and she just seems so professional. And I feel like she would be a great Bachelor lead. And yeah, I think it would be great to watch her season and kind of see how she picks out guys and kind of through her perspective, what she's actually looking for. And honestly, I think she's going to be fine. I don't think she needs Bachelor Nation or a Bachelorette season to really find love. I feel like her DMs are already flooded because she did make it so far in the season. She got so much screen time. So I think she's going to be fine either way. Of course, being on a show like this will help her chances even more, but it's still not a guarantee. But regardless, I think Instagram DMs are filled, and I'm sure she's going to have a lot of dates after quarantine.
Oh, she certainly will. I feel like for all the drama, for all the craziness, honestly, for all the toxicity in that house, at the end of the day, we did get to know a lot of really, really great women. So, I hope that we either see them in paradise or I don't know. I mean, I feel like they've already given us two bachelorettes from this bunch, so I don't want to like get too excited about the thought of perhaps getting another, unless it's way, way down the line. And like you said, Hibba, someone like Brie, who we're rooting for right now, she's gonna find love, right? I mean, she is so wonderful, so mature, so ready for it that I don't know. 3 years from now, she might just be totally taken, ring on her finger, happily living her life, which ultimately, of course, as you guys mentioned, is the goal anyways. I feel like the best part about Bachelor Nation is even if people like do ultimately, leave the franchise, find love elsewhere through social media, at least the people I keep up with, I feel like I'm still right there with them, still keeping in touch with their lives and everything going on. All right, you guys, we are going to get to some questions right now. So, questions, comments, concerns, all of the above, send them our way. We're going to try to get to as many as we possibly can because truly, we just want to know what you guys are thinking of everything in Bachelor Nation. You guys always have the hottest takes. Sometimes you come up with, some spoilers, some detective work that we can't even find. So, we love to check in with you all as much as we possibly can. All right, first up, we have one here from Jessica. She says, please, no male villains in Katie and Michelle's season or hit the road, Jack. Listen, they're going to cast some villains. That's just a done deal, a given. We know that. But what I'm excited about is I think Katie is not going to stand for them, right? If she even puts a third of the energy in to her season as she did, with the women in the house on Matt's, we're going to get a pretty efficient season. So high hopes. The bar is set pretty high for her there, I think. Oh, man. I think we're all expecting her to be like, get out of here.
Yeah, Katie's forever going to be the manager, always. The momager. We always call her that. All right, now Ben has a comment. He says, do you think Katie will set any ground rules for the conduct of the bachelors in light of her experience on The Bachelorette? That's a good question. And I think she will. I mean, we saw the environment that she lived in personally. So she definitely has, the firsthand experience of not wanting that to be repeated, especially when it's her time, when she's the lead. I know it. I wouldn't be surprised if she wouldn't want to waste any time with drama or a toxic environment or things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe night one when she's toasting or something, she might make a comment about it being or for it to not be a toxic environment and for it to just be, a healthy environment where they're just looking for love and hopefully they can support one another. I mean, that's what I would like to imagine, but I wouldn't be surprised if Katie would, try to set ground rules and set the record straight right off the bat.
I also think if she does have rules, rule number one is going to be have fun, right? Because she walked out of the limo with a vibrator. So I think she's going to bring that same energy as well as being stern.
Totally. I agree 100%. Katie, she's going to be such a breath of fresh air, that's for sure.
Tiffany Johnson said, I can't wait to see the guys. Very true. Like we said, we have a video breaking down the guys that we know so far, so we can check them out a little bit, maybe do some digging on their social media to find out a way too early prediction, right? They haven't even met probably, but we're going to have our way too early predictions. So as soon as they step out of the limo, we can start picking our man for Katie.
True, true. I think there's a lot of high hopes, so we gotta have like a bracket going before the limo entrances, just so we can see if our predictions end up being right. All right, this user says Tayshia did the same thing. Don't question my integrity thing, so I think Katie will be the same. That is true. Tayshia really had, some very firm moments. I think she was an absolutely great bachelorette. She didn't really stand for nonsense. I think some petty drama did sneak its way into her season, but not for lack of, her trying her best with any information she was given. So I keep saying it. The bar is set really high for Katie because we were all so impressed with her. Usually, the trend is the bachelorettes are the Michelles, right? The people who got so close, but then ended up heartbroken. And well, Katie made it pretty far. She certainly wasn't even final 3, right? So Katie is here because Bachelor Nation saw her, and hopefully what we all saw, we're going to see a lot more of because we loved it.
Yes.
There's definitely going to be, I think, a lot of people rooting for Katie, and I do know, just like with any other bachelorette, there are going to be people who aren't, right? That's just how this works. That's just the process of the franchise. Not everyone's favorite gets picked every round, but at some point, you're going to see someone you like.
Very true. All right, now the next question is, who is most likely to get engaged, Katie or Michelle? Ooh, that's a tough one. Honestly, I think both of them might. But it's so hard to say because we haven't met the guys yet. We've just seen pictures of them in really short bios, and it really rides on how well these guys are casted because that's all it really depends on if there's any sort of genuine connection that Michelle or Katie might have with any of the contestants. So depending on how well the casting is done, I feel like that determines the success of the season and if there is an engagement. So that's a really big question, but I'm really trying to be hopeful, and I think both of them will get engaged.
Yeah, I would have to say, I think Michelle. I'm leaning towards Michelle because I don't know, she just has like such a cool, calm, stern, mature, intelligent vibe about her that any guy who's not there for the right reasons and who's not there to get engaged by the end is just honestly going to be, not like just I don't even know like what I'm trying to say. They're just going to be like so basking in Michelle's like presence and glamour and everything that they're not even going to be able to start drama or like mess with her head or anything because she's going to be so on this track to get engaged. So I'm leaning towards Michelle. I think Katie has some of those qualities as well, but that's going to be my pick. So we can come back to this video at the end of both seasons and see if we were right. What about you, Fiona? What do you think?
This one's tough because part of me absolutely says both. Part of me, I'm totally with you, Gabby. There's something about Michelle that I just have this like, oh, for sure, she's getting engaged attitude that I can't put my finger on why. I do fear that perhaps Katie won't. But my fear kind of stems from Katie is so no nonsense. She is so no like room for error that if they cast a bunch of guys who stir drama, may or may not be there for the right reasons. Like, she's not gonna, if her gut tells her this might not be forever, I think she's gonna be like Matt. I think even if she has any doubts, she might leave the show with someone, but she's not gonna make that, lifelong commitment. I think she's a little less of a romantic, maybe is how I would put it, right? Like, she's gonna get to the end, and if she doesn't feel in her soul that this is going to be her husband, then I think she's going to want to wait before she puts a ring on her finger and commits to that person, in front of the world. But I do have high hopes that they both at least end up in relationships. That's kind of what I feel like for sure. We're not going to see either of them walk away single. They're gorgeous. They're smart. They're such catches. They're going to walk away with this in love. It's just the question of the lifelong commitment on top of that. You guys, those are all of the questions we had time for today. But if you have a question that did not get answered, go ahead and leave it for us in the comments, because truly we want to know what you guys are thinking and what you guys are predicting for the upcoming Bachelorette season. On that note, that is all we have for you for today's live. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like I said before, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you get notified every time we go live. And, just so we can keep you updated on all things Bachelor Nation. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Hibba Berry and Gabby Ganta. If you want to come say hi, you can find me on socials at Fiona Zaring. Hibba, where can they find you?
You can find me at Hibbaberry.
And Gabby Ganta.
Amazing. Thanks for tuning in, you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.